Welcome to episode 7 in the series on Carl Gustav Jung. I'm David Bell here in the e-learning centre, Trinity at Waihaki. In this video, we're going to explore into personality type in practical theology. If you ever made friends with a highly extroverted person, of course you'll know what I mean. The extreme extrovert is most times the life and soul of the party. Terms like introvert and extrovert, which were coined by Jung, have become part of everyday speech. What did Jung really mean by the term personality type? Essentially, Jung believed there were two basic orientations of the psyche. There was one which looked to the inner world and found psychic energy and meaning in it, introversion, and the other which looked to the outer world. It found its psychic energy in the external, extroversion. An individual may favour or be drawn to one or the other, but whichever you choose or favour, there will be a compensation. This happens in the unconscious world of the psyche. Now, a great deal of nonsense is written about personality types. I happened to be reading the online Encyclopedia Britannica. It was the entry about Jung and personality types. It said that today, Jung's view was considered simplistic. It implied we might really fit on a spectrum of introversion or extroversion, move along it at times. Whoever wrote the article hadn't read or understood much about Jung at all. Jung's idea was quite the opposite to what was stated. He said the psyche will balance your outward extroversion or inward introversion. And that's true of all the personality types and functions. There's a spectrum of feeling thinking and a spectrum of sensing intuiting. How does this work? Let's begin with the sensing types, better described as sensates. They tend to relate to the world through practical, observant, and realistic eyes. They most enjoy relating to the present moment. At the other end of the spectrum are the intuitive types. Intuitive types tend to relate to the world as if it were always pregnant with possibility. They're always finding new imaginative projects that will be enjoyed in and through and for their development. The other axis of personality is feeling and thinking. Thinking types tend to relate to the world with logic, analysis, reason. They're convinced that facts are more important than personal likes and dislikes. Feeling types, on the other hand, tend to relate to the world with personal values, not facts. They understand, believe in, and love the human interest factor. This is much, much more important to the feeling type than the facts. It's clear there are various combinations, stronger, weaker, balanced. These are the Jungian personality types. Some viewers will probably be wondering, what about the judging, perceiving function? Why isn't this mentioned at all? The short answer is, judging, perceiving wasn't part of Jung's personality typology. Came about in 1950. Isabel Briggs Myers and her mother Catherine Myers introduced this as a new concept. They argued that Jung often referred to the fact that in our conscious thought we both know with and we know about. The Myers-Briggs type indicator introduced judging, perceiving as another basic personality type. Jung, of course, was very interested in this development, but he wasn't convinced. Yet it became popular. And nowadays there are a number of similar personality tests. Besides the Myers-Briggs, there's the Gray-Wheelwright test, which stays with Jung's understanding of personality type. Thinking, feeling, intuitive, sensate. It's over to you to decide which is the better indicator test for you. Take both kinds of tests. When we've done that, we can ask what it means to us in a personal sense. Whatever personality test we do, it's crucial to understand it is an indicator. You can draw many positives out from the test results. but it equally is apparent that we lack things in our own personality. When we become aware of what types are dominant in us, we also become aware of what is an inferior or less well-rounded side to our own personality. This opens up the gate to growth. Our personality type is basic to who we are, the I am. Working away at the inferior functions allows us to grow what we might yet become. From a practical theologian's point of view, it also helps explain why Christians look at Christ differently. Let me explain. The archetype of the risen Christ is within the collective unconscious. And in the outer world, the church has made various dogma about resurrection and created signs for it. For example, the Protestants, the empty cross signifying resurrection. And Roman Catholics and Orthodox have a wealth of icons to point to it. Each personality type will explore the archetypal Christ within and the signs and dogma of the external church without rather differently. Feeling types have a sense of the past. In what churches might we find them most comfortable? Perhaps those which emphasize the traditional, the value of continuity between past and present. Various surveys in the American context seem to indicate about 80% of churchgoers are strong feeling types. That mirrors the fact that about 80% of the general population tend to be feeling types. To the thinking type, on the other hand, Jesus is a man of principle. He followed the logic of his own life situation to the very end, the cross, without abandoning his principles. The encounter the thinking type will have with the risen Christ will be a rational exploration of faith. This will carry him or her forward into the future. Let's turn from the feeling-thinking axis to the sensate-intuitive axis. The strong sensate, as we know, is very much locked into the present moment. The immediate is of prime importance. His or her world is full of sense data pouring in. The sensate who would encounter the risen Christ will be more comfortable in a church that is constantly doing. It will promote life in Christ in a way that can be directly experienced, not locked up in past or future. That leaves the last type, the strong intuitive. He or she finds Christ coming in the dreams of the future. A church without wide forward-looking vision doesn't appeal to the intuitive. Jesus' teaching had the strong sense of the kingdom ahead. The risen Christ is rolling from the future toward the present in power and majesty. Of course, these are just suggestions. They are vignettes, scenarios. Here's the final point about personality type and the archetypal Christ within. The healing power of Jesus the Christ may come to the individual through glimpsing into our inferior personality functions. Jung called this individuation, the personality coming to terms with all its rich possibilities. Next week we look at this as our final topic in the introduction to Carl Gustav Jung. We explore healing and individuation. See you next time, and thanks for watching.